So back in the Middle Ages, they used to have a form of entertainment that they called cat burning. You can Google cat burning if you want to, but basically what it was is they would gather a bunch of cats into a net and then slowly lower it onto a large bonfire and get entertained as the cats were burned to death slowly. Now today we'd find such a practice terribly abhorrent and disgusting, but in a way we kind of do the same thing still. There's something in the human psyche that seems to get enjoyment out of witnessing the suffering of others. It's sick, I know, but well, it's human nature. Magazines print these sensational stories because the statistics don't lie. When they print those stories, more of us buy the newspaper. When television companies run these sensational stories, more of us watch them. So you might wonder, well, how is a situation like this ever going to change if the television companies are giving us what we want to see, and human nature, what we want to see, is the sensational stories. And I think it may have something to do with the way that such practices as cat burning went away, which is that back in the Middle Ages, the church pretty much ruled everything, and groupthink was very carefully controlled. But as time went on, there were Reformation movements to the church. The world started to become more secularized. There was the United States. We have more freedoms than I think have ever existed in the world before, and people with dissenting opinions were allowed to speak up. So there was freedom of choice. You were now free to hear more than one or two different opinions. I think that's the problem with news agencies, is that we only have a very limited number of choices. If I want to turn on the television and watch the news, there's not a whole lot of choice that I have in terms of what I watch. And so inevitably, the majority opinion will rule, and the news will publish what the majority want to see. I think for something like that to start to change, I have real high hopes that maybe the internet is the solution. That maybe as more and more people start using the internet, we'll start to see small news companies really start to kind of become established, and people can start to have a whole lot more choice. Already with satellite radio, people now have thousands of radio stations to listen to, and they're free to choose which ones they want to. And I think it may become that way with news, that very slowly there'll be, these small news agencies that maybe don't get a huge viewership, but they get a continuing dedicated viewership. And over time, maybe people's opinions will start to change, and people will start to, think again, do we really need to show this pornographic violence in news agencies? Because I think the way to get there is we have to somehow be able to gradually shift the public opinion. And if there's only a very small number of news agencies, no shift is ever going to happen. It needs to happen a little bit at a time. So those are my thoughts, at least, on that.